Hello guys. So this video is part 2 to the rainbow analysis that you need for your assignment for today. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring up my whole screen. All right, so this is the day 2 assignment for week 5. If you check out the week 5 folder and you check out the agenda, we're here on Wednesday, Thursday. And this is the assignment, the Song Rainbow Analysis Part 2. So this is the how-to video on how to complete the assignment like I gave you guys in week 4. If you remember, part 1 of the assignment was to go through your song that you had chosen and identify the imagery and the figurative language, and then in the comments, insert comments that put that imagery and figurative language in your own words. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding on to this because, right, this is supposed to be a rainbow. And also when we, analyze poetry, there's all sorts of things we look for. So today, if you go into the week 5 folder, day 2 folder, you can pull up the assignment. What we're adding on today is the refrain, the tone, mood, theme, and author's purpose. I am going to be going over these in the class lecture. If you're in my sophomore class, I've already uploaded our lecture. We already had our lecture. If you're in my freshman class, I'm going to be uploading that lecture. By the time you watch this video, it should be in Schoology for you. But you can find the PDF for these terms here in the day 2 folder. So I'm still just in week 5. Day 2, it's the same PDF that you used last week to learn about figurative language and imagery, but this time, like you'll see in the lecture, since we're only talking about refrain, tone, mood, and theme, and then author's purpose isn't in there. Author's purpose I'm going to be talking about here at the end of the video. These ones are all the way at the end. You got to skip down past everything. And it's going to start on slide 32 for analyzing poetry. You're going to need refrain, not rhythm, not stanza, not style. You're going to need tone, and you're going to need mood and theme. So like I said, these are all things that I'm covering in our class lectures, so you're going to want to go over those and use them to build your analysis. But okay, so in doing this assignment, the first thing that I need to do is obviously I need to update my key. Remember in your assignment you were supposed to create a key so that you and I can both see what is highlighted what color. So I'm going to go ahead and add things into mine. Let me switch over here. So I'm going to go ahead and add in refrain. And I'm going to highlight it in red. And then I'm going to add tone and highlight tone in purple. Now when you highlight tone purple, you're going to have to make the text white. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to see it very well. So when you turn the text white, it helps. And then we're going to add on mood. Whoa, I'm writing in white. And then don't forget to change it back to black so that you can see. So I am doing mood. We're going to highlight mood in pink. This is kind of pink. It's like a magenta. It says pink. And then we're going to do theme in green. And we're going to do author's purpose in orange. See, I don't have orange, so I have to pick a different color. So if this happens to you and you go into your highlighting tool and you notice that you don't have one of the colors, you can pick a different color that we haven't used yet. So I'm going to use, let's go ahead with dark blue, which is another one that I'm going to have to make the text white for. Oh, I did that wrong. Let's highlight it in dark blue. And then make the text white. There we go. Oh, just kidding. On some of your computers in your highlighting tool, it'll let you add colors. If not, and you don't have orange, you can just pick something else. But okay, so once I've created my key, I'm gonna go one by one through the song, and I'm gonna be highlighting them and answering the questions as I go. So the questions that you're going to answer, I will review as I do them. So I'm going to start by looking for the refrain. So if you remember from the lecture, refrain is something in the song that's repeated. So a word or phrase that's repeated throughout the song. So in this case, since we're looking at music, the refrain that you're going to look for is actually the chorus line. So whatever is repeated as the chorus. In the case of my song, if you guys remember, my song isn't built like other songs. There isn't necessarily a chorus. But in your songs, let's say I'm still doing 1-800 by Logic. Actually, that's a bad example too, because that chorus changes. Let me think. I'm just gonna... It's like one of those moments where you're put on the spot and you're like, oh no, I can't think. So this was another song that I had put in my top 5. So if I was looking for the refrain, it would be the lines that are repeated or the chorus line. So something that's repeated in this song is this: I won't forget, I won't forgive, I won't forget who knew you'd be hated for being who you are. This is the chorus. It's repeated consistently throughout the song. So in your song, what you're going to do when you see the chorus or the refrain, the repeated lines, you're going to highlight them in red. In the song that I chose, there is a refrain, and it's here at the end, right? It's the lines that are repeated. So in this case, the refrain is, I know I am because I said I am. It repeats 3 times, followed by my body is home, repeated twice. And then I know I am because I said I am 3 more times. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that in red for the refrain. And then you're going to want to answer your questions below the song. So make sure you number them. I'm going to number it 1 and then label it refrain. So the question asks, why do you think this is the main chorus? Why is it important to repeat these lyrics throughout the song? So before I recorded this video, I already went through and I analyzed the song and I took some notes so that you wouldn't have to watch me stumble through it. But I wrote in my notes that this refrain is way different from the rest of the song, right? The rest of the song is about girls who struggle to accept themselves, and about that struggle, about how they worry about how they look, how they're obsessed with makeup, and yet this is a huge change. It shifts and it's like, I know I am because I said I am, my body is home. Way different from everything else. So that's one thing I made note of for myself. And if you notice something like that in your chorus, you might want to make note of that. So I wrote that the refrain is, oops, I spelled that wrong. Refrain is way different. That's bad grammar. The refrain is very different from the rest of the song, period, and then I put the rest of the song is about girls who struggle to love themselves and their bodies, but, oops, no capital, but this is more positive, right? Because now it's like, I know I am because I said I am, my body is home. Way more positive than our bodies are war-torn collateral. We want to be beautiful at the morgue, like totally different message there. And so I put that I think these lines are important because it's kind of like if I were reading this, like if I pretended this were a poem and I were reading it to myself, it's in first person. So when I read it, I'm reading it as I. So it's like, I know I am because I said I am. So I thought it was important because it's like a reminder to love yourself in your body because it's home, right? And we only get one to live in. So I'm going to go ahead and write that in. So I think these lyrics are important because they're a reminder to love yourself and your body because it's quote unquote home and we only get one. So that's answering why I think it's the main chorus, right? Because it's this important reminder, that's why it's important. But why I need to continue explaining, like, why is it important to repeat this? Not necessarily throughout the song, because like I said, mine doesn't do it throughout the song, but why repeat this 6 times at the end of the song? So I don't know if you guys have heard of like positive affirmations, but positive affirmations are something that you tell yourself like to start your day or when you're having a bad day or when you're feeling down. And it's just something you tell yourself to like reaffirm that everything is okay. And I thought these sounded a lot like those positive affirmations that like when you're feeling down, you can tell yourself, I know I am because I said I am, my body is home, and repeat it to yourself to remind yourself that like you are important. So that's what I wrote in my explanation. So I put, this is important because compared to the rest of the song, it's a positive shift and reminds me of positive affirmation. How do you spell affirmations? Affirmations that can encourage girls who struggle to love themselves, that everything is okay. And so that's my full explanation. So just to recap it, it says, the refrain is very different from the rest of the song. The rest of the song is about girls who struggle to love themselves and their bodies, but this is more positive. I think these lyrics are important because they're a reminder to love yourself and your body because it's home and we only get one. This is important because compared to the rest of the song, it's a positive shift and reminds me of positive affirmations that can encourage girls who struggle to love themselves. And that everything is okay doesn't make sense, so I don't need that. Cool. All right, so I've answered my question about refrain. I've talked about why do I think it's the main chorus and why is it important that these lyrics are repeated. So my recommendation is that while you're watching this video, you watch it as you do the assignment. So this would be a really good point to pause, pull up the assignment, and go do the refrain so that it's fresh in your brain. And then when you're ready, you can unpause the video and press play, and we'll pick back up with the tone. So once you come back and once you unpause, I'm going to move into tone. So if you remember, tone is not how you feel, not your emotions. It's the emotions that the author builds and like the words the author uses to sound a certain way. So the example I like to use, right, is your parents when they're talking to you, right? Their tone of voice is because they're feeling a certain way, so they use a certain they use certain words, they talk at a certain volume to show how they're feeling. So like if you and your parents like had a fight on the way to school, right, they would be yelling at you and maybe they would be using language that would make you feel bad, right, like angry language. So that's their tone of voice. So what are the words they use? What is the emotion the author is feeling as they write? Not how you feel, how the author feels. So to find tone, you want to look for those tone words or words that you think convey the author's emotion. And so I'm going to look for those and highlight them in purple. And what you're going to notice as you do this is that you're going to be highlighting over sections that might already be one color, and that's okay to change them. So things that I thought had to do with tone, well, when I listen to this song, I feel like there's several different tones. Like I feel like Mary Lambert felt several different things while she was writing this. So it kind of like seemed heartbroken and also lonely. But then at the end, right, like I said, when talking about the refrain, I said there was a shift. So that's something you might want to consider while you're looking for it. Is the question for number 2, and it's how does the author feel towards the subject they are writing about? Explain. So you might need to think about that before you look for the evidence to highlight. So like I said, I thought that this song sounds like she's a little bit heartbroken. It also sounds lonely, but then at the end it sounds hopeful. So things that I thought sounded like heartbroken were, let me see, dark purple. Okay, no, that's pink. Sorry, it's because I did this on my tablet and I did not do a good job about picking different colors. Okay, so things that I think are tone are trying to fit in. I feel like that's tone. So I need to highlight that in dark purple. And then because it changes to dark to read, I need to change the text white. So trying to fit in. And then I thought binge drinking kind of conveyed some tone, right? Because it's not party drinking, it's binge drinking. Remember, when you're thinking of tone, you want to think word choice. So she didn't say they're out partying, she said they're binge drinking. And when I think of the word binge, if I look it up, binge means to overly do something. So like when you're binge drinking, like you're drinking way too much alcohol, or sometimes people binge eat when they're stressed, meaning they overeat when they're stressed. So that's a very specific word choice, I thought. And then I put disaster, right? That's another like heavy word that I thought conveyed like the negative emotions that are going on here. Fleeing bombs, that has a very specific tone, right? They're running away from something. It's never easy to accept. Let's see what else has tone. I need to take a look at my notes. Give me 1 second. Okay. So then I also put when the knife hits the skin. That I thought carried some tone that continues that negative tone. And then I put obsessed with death. That's another one. That also feels like she's saying negative things. And then I also thought we swallow pills was another one. Still following that negative, like heartbreak emotion. And then, let's see. But then I also said, if you remember, I said like there's a shift to something more positive. So I also saw the positive in like reclaim our bodies. Reclaim means to take something back. So that's definitely a different tone of voice from the author. We deserve more. That's a different tone of voice. So I do that. What else? Oh, and then the other emotion that I thought was lonely, right? This part where it's talking about the girls sitting by the phone waiting for somebody to pick up. So I thought that we're sad. Waiting by the phone for someone to pick up, right? I thought that was lonely because remember in my notes over here when I describe this, I see a girl holding a phone in her hand, crying and waiting for somebody to call, right? You can kind of imagine a girl sitting by herself, all alone. So I thought that that was the author trying to convey that loneliness, like she's using the language to show us loneliness. So once I've gone through and I've identified the parts that deal with tone, I'm going to go ahead and answer the question. So tone. So it says, how does the author feel towards the subject they are writing about or singing about? Explain. So like I said, I thought I saw several, so I would put, I think the author uses 3 different tones in the song. The first tone, and like I said, that first tone is heartbreak. Like I feel like the author is heartbroken and she's using language to show that she's heartbroken. So the first tone is heartbreak. And then I put that, ooh, I spelled heartbreak wrong. Heartbreak. And I put, it seems like she's heartbroken. I can't spell heartbroken. Heartbroken for the girls who hurt / don't love themselves. And then I want to explain, you know, why do I think that? So I put, I think this because she uses words and phrases to describe how the girls try to fit in. Many of which are very sad. And then one of the major images I saw throughout this that help build that heartbroken tone is that self-harm. So for example, her name is Mary. So Mary reflects a lot on girls self-harming. So that's the first tone I saw. So just to recap, I wrote the first tone is heartbreak. It seems like she's heartbroken for the girls who hurt / don't love themselves. I think this is because she uses words and phrases to describe how the girls try to fit in, many of which are very sad. For example, Mary reflects on a lot of girls self-harming. All right, so the second tone I saw was loneliness. So I would put that the second tone the author uses is loneliness. And so for the loneliness, that's where I was talking about these specific lines in this specific image where she's talking about the girl sitting by the phone with it in her hands, you know, waiting for someone to pick up. So I put Mary uses a tone of loneliness when, did I spell that wrong? There we go, loneliness when she describes girls alone by the phone, waiting for someone to answer. And then I explain, how does this show loneliness? So I put that this image shows how lonely girls can feel. Right? You can really feel, like if we were talking about mood, you could definitely feel the isolation here as she talks about her own feeling of loneliness. And then I said that the third tone that I thought the author used was like hopeful / encouraging, and for that I was talking about this, and these lines. So I'm going to actually highlight one of these in purple, and so you can see, right, I'm having to change the color of stuff. So I had this as red, but now I'm changing it to purple. And then I'll go ahead and highlight my body as home purple as well, because this is another one of those hopeful / encouraging. So then I would put the last tone the author uses is hopeful / encouraging. I couldn't decide on which one, so I just picked both. And then I put, I really talk mostly about this final stanza, but I could have also talked about the word choice, like where she says, like, we need to reclaim our bodies and we deserve more. So actually, why don't I add that in? So one example of hopefulness in the song is when she chooses to say women need to reclaim, I should quote that, to reclaim our bodies, because to reclaim means to take back. Cool. Because yeah, like she's trying to say it's time to take back our bodies so we can feel hopeful because, you know, we can own ourselves. We don't have to let anyone else own us. But then the second thing I want to reflect on for a tone is this that final refrain there and that shift in tone. And so I kind of repeated a little bit of what I said in number 1, but I put that the final stanza is, I put way different again, very different from the rest of the song and seems to be more positive and accepting. So I think she is being hopeful that she can love herself and encouraging other girls to do the, oh crap, to do the, sorry. Okay, so yeah, let me just recap this one more time for my tone. Your explanation of tone might not be as long as mine, and that's okay, right? Your song might only have one tone in it. Your author might only be talking using one specific emotion. But in the case of my song, I identified 3 different tones. So it's okay if you can only find one, or if you can find more than one, it's okay to talk about the different ones that you find. So I think the author uses 3 different tones in the song. The first tone is heartbreak. It seems like she's heartbroken for the girls who hurt / don't love themselves. I think this is because she uses words and phrases to describe how the girls try to fit in, many of which are very sad. For example, Mary reflects a lot on girls self-harming. The second tone the other uses, I meant author. This is why it's important to reread your stuff before you turn it into me. The second tone the author uses is loneliness. Mary uses the term of loneliness when she describes girls alone by the phone waiting for someone to answer. This image shows how lonely girls can feel. The last tone the author uses is hopeful / encouraging. One example of hopeful in the song is when she chooses to say women need to reclaim our bodies because reclaim means to take back. The final stanza is very different from the rest of the song and seems to be more positive and accepting, so I think she's being hopeful that she can love herself and encourage others to do the same. So right now would be another good point to go ahead and pause the video, open up your own song and start analyzing for tone. Make sure to take your time, don't try to cut corners, and make sure to try to push yourself to really explain why you think the author is using a very specific tone of voice or how they're building it. Like I know you highlighted it up here, but the same way that you paraphrase the imagery and figurative language, you kind of want to paraphrase and explain what's going on when they build tone. So if you want to go ahead and pause, get that done, and then come back for mood. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about mood. And this is where I messed up in my own notes, where I didn't necessarily highlight things that felt mood. But so for mood, remember mood is how the song makes you feel. So this is where you would go through and you would highlight lines or words that you felt were really powerful or that really hit you, you know, right in the feels, and you're going to highlight those in pink. So since I forgot to do this in my own notes, I'm just going to go ahead and scan it. And if it's something you've already highlighted, excuse me, try to only highlight like one word from the whole thing or a couple words from the whole thing, so that way I can still see, you know, that this is several different literary devices working together. So I put that fit in, you know, felt, had mood to it. And then, let's see, squeezing into last year's prom dress, I felt that. I put never easy, or I think never easy. And then I can do accept. And then bodies are fallible and flawed. That hit me in the emotions. Let's see. I thought this moment, wanting to be beautiful at the morgue, made me feel really sad, you know, that the reality of the situation. This might as well be buried with our shoes. That image where I put that we should just be buried with our stuff. Ooh, this one, you know, split my wrists to reveal a battlefield, felt emotional. What else? I also thought our bodies deserve more, so I'll highlight that part so that I can see the difference. This line, I only know how to exist when I am wanted. That was another one that makes me feel pretty emotional. Along with the girls like us are hardly ever wanted. And then again, the last part, I know I am because I said I am, so I'll highlight a second one. And then body is home again. Cool. So what I've done is I've just gone through and highlighted moments that felt powerful to me and emotional to me. And like you can see, when it was something that overlapped, I didn't highlight the whole line, I just highlighted parts of it. And then so the question that we want to answer now is, for mood, how does the song make you, the audience, feel? Now, my biggest thing here is if you're going to say happy or sad, you want to look up stronger words than just happy and sad. Because like when we get back to regular school, you know, next year you're not going to be able to just pick happy and sad on any of the tests. No test is going to ask you, what mood is this piece, happy or sad or angry? They're going to use bigger words that are much more descriptive. So like, for example, if I looked up happy and synonyms of happy, there are a bunch more words, and all of them have different meanings. Like delighted means something much different than contented, right? Content is just kind of like you're chilling, everything is okay, and delighted is more like an excited happy. This is like a relaxed happy. So they're different. So you want to figure out like what word describes that moment. I also added in Schoology in day 2 a wheel of emotions for you to help you describe the tone and mood. So you can see you can start with your base emotion and then branch out. And if you see any of these words that you feel either you know and you like that and you think it better describes what you're feeling, you can use it, or definitely look up the words and see if they fit what you mean. You've got Google at your disposal as a dictionary, so try to look up those words. However, for me, this song makes me feel both happy and sad. And there's not a word on here that describes happy and sad. If you notice, they're like two very different words. So if I just look up a word to describe happy and sad. Word for when you're happy and sad. The word that comes up, let's see. So when you're simultaneously happy and you're simultaneously sad, the word that we're looking for here is bittersweet, right? You're happy and you're sad. It's bitter, but it's sweet. So I feel like that tone really that mood really describes this song for me as the audience of this song. So then going back, I'm going to answer that question by typing in mood. And I wrote in my notes that I feel like the mood of the song is bittersweet because listening to it makes me both happy and sad at the same time. And then I need to explain, because that's super vague, how this song that seems really sad, right? It's heartbreaking and lonely. How does this really sad song make me as a listener feel both happy and sad? So I explained, and I connected it to me. So when you're talking about mood, try to connect it to your own emotions. Because in this case, you're the main character here, right? If we were talking about a story and we were trying to figure out the mood of the character, you would have to connect the tone to like the things the character is going through to figure out how it makes them feel. So in this case, you're like the main character, so you want to think, how does the song make me feel and why does it make me feel that way based on my life and my experiences? So in this case, I put, it makes me feel sad, not it, the song. Let's be specific. Makes me feel sad because I've been there, right? I've been in Mary's shoes and all these other girls' shoes. I've been there and still feel the things the author describes sometimes. So like I still feel this every once in a while. I can still have days where I listen to this song because like maybe I went to the mall and I couldn't find anything that fit or what have you, or someone made a comment. Like my grandma is really good at making comments that are like, she doesn't mean anything by it, but then I go home and I'm all, oh, thanks, grandma, right? Your parents might do that to you too. So that would be a moment where like I could talk about it. It still makes me feel that sadness sometimes. But if it's bittersweet, it also makes me happy. So I would write that. But this song also makes me feel happy because I know I can overcome and learn to love myself like Mary says in the last stanza. Right, so I connect my happiness to a very specific point. And it's that last positive affirmation there that I know I am because I said I am. So to recap, the mood, the way this song makes me feel is I feel like the mood of the song is bittersweet because listening to it makes me both happy and sad at the same time. The song makes me feel sad because I've been there and still feel the things the author describes sometimes. But this song also makes me feel happy because I know I can overcome and learn to love myself, like Mary says in the last stanza. So again, this is another good spot to pause and go back and work on mood and then press play when you're ready to go into theme. But make sure you highlight and answer the question before you jump into something new. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm already going to jump into theme. So remember, theme we're going to highlight as green, and theme is like the author's message. Like, what do they want you to believe, think, do, or feel? What are they trying to teach you, right? What is the song trying to teach you? That's the main theme. What is it trying to teach you? What does it want you to learn? So you might need to answer the question before you go back and highlight theme in the song, because if you don't figure out what the theme is, it's going to make no sense to go try to highlight it first. So before I answer this, before I go highlight theme, I'm going to answer the question and just try to like label a theme. And the biggest theme of this song that I think, especially after answering all of these questions, is I think the theme of the song is self-love. So I think the theme of the song is self-love. And so then, of course, you need to explain, why do you think whatever you label the theme as is the theme? By the way, themes are typically one word. So if you just Googled like themes, list of themes, let's do in literature, my bad. Themes in literature, right? You could do good versus evil, love, redemption, courage, perseverance. Like find yourself a list of themes and figure out what theme do I think fits mine. This is like a list of the most common 6. You can find other ones. Here's a huge list of common themes. Maybe I'll drop a link to this in Schoology also to help you out, right? But it's got all sorts of themes for you. Poetry, right? So you might want to come through this list to find your word, because themes are one word that describes the overall message. In this case, my one word is self-love. So I need to explain, why do I think this song is about self-love? Well, it's because I think that this song is trying to tell you to love yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down. So I think let me look at the question so I can steal words from the question. I'm going to steal central message. So I think the central message of the song is to love yourself and your body. So this is where I need to pause for a second and go through and try to find my evidence. Wait, no, actually I'm going to finish writing my answer, because my answer will help you understand better why I highlight what I highlight as theme. So, well, I think the central message is, the theme, bleh. Sorry. I think the theme is self-love, and I think it's because it's trying to teach you to love yourself in your body. And I believe this because, I'm going to explain. She talks about all kinds of girls who are depressed and dying because they can't fit in, or because of the pressure to be beautiful. But at the end, she ends with a positive, right? I've been describing the end as a positive message. I just want to keep reiterating that. She ends with a positive message that can be a reminder / positive affirmation for girls to remind themselves their body, they should love their bodies. Let's go with that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read this, and then I'll go find my evidence. So overall, my answer is, I think the theme of the song is self-love. I think the central message of the song is to love your body and yourself. So then I need to explain, why do I think that's the message? So I believe this because she talks about all kinds of girls who are depressed and dying because they can't fit in, or because of the pressure to be beautiful. But at the end, she ends with a positive message that can be a reminder / positive affirmation for girls to remind themselves they should love their bodies. So I need to go find some evidence to support that and highlight it in green for theme. Oh, oops. So if I said one of the things is she's describing a bunch of girls, right? She's trying to actually show you we're not alone. I need to find the moments where she's talking about multiple girls. So like, I know girls That's a plural. Again, girls, plural. Plural. What else? I'm not going to highlight girls every time I see it. So actually, I'll just do the whole I know girls. I know girls. Oh, and you know what? I could have talked about that as a refrain. My bad. Maybe if you notice another refrain, go back and talk about it. When do we draw the line? Right? Drawing the line means like, when do we end this? So when do we draw the line? What else? There's more. There's like us. There's one like us. Wanting to us again. Multiple girls with our multiple people. We, right? She's building this image for us to show us that we're not alone, that we should love ourselves. We. And then I keep highlighting the same thing, but it's because I feel like this is a big part of the theme. So I know I am because I said I am. My body is home. So I feel like all of those are trying to teach you, love yourself. You're not alone. And the biggest part of that theme, I think, is here. So this is a good spot for you to pause again and try to figure out what is the theme or the main idea, not the main idea. What is the controlling message? Thinking of these long list of words, what is the message that the author is trying to send the listeners? Okay, so go ahead and pause, go back to your own song and try to figure out theme. And then when you're ready, press play. And I'm going to jump into talking about the last one, which is author's purpose. Oops. So author's purpose. So remember, author's purpose is a little different from theme because theme is what do they want you to take away? The purpose is why are they writing this? Why are they creating that message? Why do they feel this is important? So before I find my evidence, I want to just kind of reflect on why do I think the author is doing this? So why do I think they wrote their song? And how do you think they hope the song impacts you, their listeners? Excuse me. So I put, let me see, checking my notes to see what I wrote about author's purpose. Okay, so I think that Mary Lambert wrote this song to remind girls that they're not alone, and that even if you feel like you don't fit in, it's okay. There are other girls who are suffering in their own skin too, which makes me realize I did theme wrong. Everything that I highlighted in green, that we, us, is actually, I meant to highlight it for author's purpose. So it's okay to mess up. I messed up. Check it out. I highlighted the wrong things. This is definitely still theme, but everything else you'll see goes into my author's purpose. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and answer the question, why do I think Mary Lambert wrote this? So I think Mary Lambert wrote this song to remind girls that it's okay to feel like you don't fit in by showing them that they aren't alone. And then I made a giant run-on, so I'm going to cut my run-on into parts and put she does this by describing all the girls she knows who suffer in their own skin. right. I think the reason I got mixed up between theme and author's purpose in my own notes is because I highlighted them with actual highlighters. And so, yeah, I forgot that, you know, when you blend colors, they mix. So yellow and red made green. Whoops. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight this. I know girls, this is actually for author's purpose, and I decided we were going to do author's purpose in blue. So I think that'll help me with my own notes and my own mess up. So if I said she's describing how girls aren't alone, I need to find all the moments where she uses that language where it's like, you're not alone. There are many of us like this. So I know girls, I know girls, I know girls, I know girls. Okay, that one was actually theme. When do we draw the line? When do we learn to self-love? But author's purpose, again, showing us that we're not alone. Us implies that there are many people. We're in this together. Us, we're in this together. Make it white so I could see it. We, and then we're, right? So she's trying to show you you're not alone. So I needed to find all of those moments where it shows that we're not alone, and then that's it, and then I'm done. So you can go ahead and end here pretty much and go figure out author's purpose, and when you're done, don't forget the extra credit is to draw a picture that represents the song. In case you forgot how to insert a picture, I will show you. You just go to insert, I want pictures. It'll bring up whatever pictures you have on your computer and just select the one you want to upload. And that's how you can paste your pictures that you think represents the song for extra credit. And I'm totally sorry about my mix-up between theme and author's purpose. That was because my own notes were a terrible hot mess, but I hope that was clear that the theme is the main message. So the main message of my song was to have self-love, and the purpose was to show you you're not alone as a girl who's struggling with all of that language describing multiple girls sharing the same struggle. Yeah, and so that was it. As always, if you have questions, reach out to me via email or Remind, and good luck with your rainbow analysis.